of Master of English Education Department, Siti Nur Aini, PhD. Time is yours, Bu Nunung.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Bahasa, for opening the event. I would like to say just a few things for this. I really appreciate that all of you are willing to join to the 120 doctor seminar in commemorating the anniversary of UKRIS dalam rangka Kris Natalis ini ya seminarnya. Jadi Prodi Bahasa Inggris menyelenggarakan seminar seri sebanyak 3 kali. Ini yang kedua. Jadi yang pertama 2 minggu yang lalu, kemudian hari ini, dan yang satu lagi nanti bulan Juli insya Allah akan dilaksanakan untuk yang seri yang ketiga. Semoga juga acara ini kami harapkan bisa memberikan manfaat untuk Bapak Ibu yang berkenan hadir, sehingga bisa saling berbagi ilmu, dan kami melibatkan dosen-dosen yang ada di Prodi Magister Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris. Hari ini kita bersama dengan Bapak Dr. Seno Warsito dan Dr. Listianing Sumardiani, dua dosen yang sudah sangat mumpuni dan kami sangat menghormati beliau-beliau yang hadir di sini untuk menyampaikan materi yang sudah dipilih dan ditentukan untuk dibawakan hari ini. Saya berharap semoga akan ada interaksi yang baik, tanya jawab, kemudian juga berdiskusi bersama pembicara hari ini. Itu saja Bu Faiza yang bisa saya sampaikan. Semoga hari ini lancar dan Bapak Ibu semoga bersemangat untuk bisa bertanya dan berdiskusi dengan pembicara yang ada. Terima kasih. Semoga acara hari ini kita lancar. Demikian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Bu Nunung, for the welcoming remarks. Well, now the first interesting session will be started. To talk about enhancing metacognitive competence of EFL learner, we have Dr. Seno Warsito as the first speaker. Dr. Seno Warsito is a doctor on linguistic pragmatics. He has published many books and articles in national accredited journals and Scopus journals. And now he is still in the process of getting his professorship. Good morning, Pak Seno. How are you? Pak Seno. Good morning, Pak Seno. Pak Seno, can you hear me? Nunung, can you hear my voice?
Okay. Good morning.
Okay. Okay, Pak Seno.
Morning.
Okay, Pak Seno, you have 45 minutes to present your paper.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Pak Seno.
Respectful, the head of Magister Study Program, English Language Education Department, Gunung, colleges, Bapak Ibu dosen, and ladies and gentlemen, the seminar participant. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
First, I would like to say thanks, Gunung, for giving me the opportunities to share knowledge in the seminar series for 120 doctors this morning. Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, the seminar participants. Okay, I will present relating to the pedagogical innovation relating to the metacognitive competence. And I would like to talk about how to enhance metacognitive competence of English for foreign language learners. Yeah, I will start from our national curriculum, especially for English for foreign language curriculum. As we know that the purpose of learning English as a foreign language is not only to develop students' communicative competence in English, but also to develop many other aspects, such as student religiosity, attitude, characters, as well as other aspects of soft skills, such as communicative, and then creative, innovative, and the autonomy or self-reliance and self-directed, and etc. etc. I think that the participants today know well about the communicative, the purpose of learning curriculums. I mean that AFL curriculums. Yeah, and actually that this curriculums want to develop students' life skills, whether it is relating to hard skill and soft skill. Okay, if we look at the vision of education in the context of freedom to learn curriculum, if we compare it with the previous curriculum, as we have, for example, like Cortilas, the essence is actually the same. There's no difference. Only in the freedom to learn curriculum, the vision is to focus on 7 aspects relating to the belief in God, and then noble characters, and then self-reliance, as Pununung said, is the autonomy, and then global diversity, and then mutual cooperation and critical thinking and creative, with emphasis on implementing the values of Pancasila, as we have the profiles of Pelajar Pancasila. In the previous curriculums, it was actually more complete, I think. Only the level of learning implementation was less focused. Bapak Ibu, with so many aspects that we must build, on student simultaneously, the teacher task is not easy, I think. It is quite complex and complicated. Collaboration and shared commitment between teacher across subject are needed, I think. This quite complex and complicated task cannot be done by an English teacher alone. And of course, it is not enough for a teacher to teach in the ordinary way. Need a breakthrough in managing learnings, need innovation, I think, and a transformation of learning. If we relate to the demands of 21st century competencies, learning innovation is increasingly needed. Students are required to have the ability about way of thinking, tool of workings, skill for living in the world, ways of working. Yeah, relating to the way of thinking, the student must have skill in ways of thinking that cannot be used as a profession in navigating in the 21st century. And then relating to the tools of working, students can maximize in working independently or in groups by using or operating information and communication technology. And then the other things, the students should have skills for living in the world. I think that it is very important for our students right now. How they have the way can live in the future, including social responsibility, and then how they can develop their career and life in the future, I think. And then ways of working, how the student can work and what to do. And then the students are expected to be able to work independently, cooperate and collaborate. Pedagogy is important things that that will be introduced to our students. So I think that yeah, how to achieve the competence, I think it is not easy. So it's need pedagogical innovation and transformation in teaching and learning. As you know that pedagogy is the heart of teaching and learning. A better understanding how pedagogy influence learning is required for preparing young people to become lifelong learners with the deep knowledge of subject matter. It is needed teachers' ability to create learning innovation that are able to answer the basic needs of students in facing challenges and difficulties in learning in the future. Pedagogical innovation is essential, as we know that the world is changing rapidly. For too many students are disengaged and achieve below their potential. At the same time, global expectations for education system are growing ever more ambitious. For all this reason, school and system must be ready to move beyond the comfort zone of the traditional and familiar approach. I think that education system need to be reoriented to equip learners with the knowledge, value, abilities to act the betterment of all people in the planet as a responsible citizen and global community. And teachers are expected to transform their teaching, for example, like ensuring that the curriculum, pedagogy, learning material, schools of learning environments are meaningful in the nature, political, economic, and culture context. Pedagogy pedagogical innovation of EFL in the context of freedom to learn as the current education policy named Merdeka Belajar or freedom to learn affects all teaching and learning in the formal education domain, I think. It affects pedagogical aspect relating to the concept, approach, strategies, models, method of teaching, learning process. It's pedagogical innovation. As I quoted from Lacroix, pedagogical innovation is a process that reinvents teaching practices with the goal of better supporting student learning. If successful, this process will result in deep learning and better learning outcome for students, as they will be able to engage with curricular content in ways that more impactful than traditional didactic method of instruction. Yeah, considering the expected AFL learnings, yeah, there are some EFL pedagogical innovation that already implemented in our national curriculums. As we have, for example, in the very past, we have PICOMS, the active, innovative, creative, effective, joyful learning. And then contextual teaching and learnings, and problem-based learning, project-based learning, collaborative learning, and then the developmentally appropriate practices, cultural responsive pedagogy, and teaching at the right level, as we have already introduced in Freedom to Learn's curriculums. Actually, that metacognition have already introduced to the this pedagogical innovation. I'm sorry. Yeah. And then why it is the cognitive competence, as we know that metacognitive competence can develop the student hard skills and soft skills, and then to develop the students or the learners lifelong learning. Yeah. In the future, the teacher ability to create learning innovation that are able to answer the basic needs of students in facing challenges and difficulties in learning, actually that's needed. One of the basic needs that must be met by student in learning in the present future is independent in solving their learning problems. Independent in solving learning problems by recognizing the difficulties and deficiencies encountered, and the ability to recognize the strengths in the learning process is metacognition competence, metacognitive competence. Yeah. Important here, I think that how we can develop our student have an autonomy and also reliance in learning. Yeah. Why metacognition is important to introduce to our students? Yeah, because it can help students to determine how they learn better in utilizing their cognitive sources, such as the ability to assess their own understanding, calculating how long it takes them to learn some things, choose an effective plan for learning to solve problems, how to understand when he doesn't understand some things, how to fix his own mistakes, the ability to predict and anticipate what impact it will have, or determine what is acceptable and reasonable and what is not. Yeah, we can imagine that when the learners have those competence, and then we just let them, yeah, they do by themselves. Yeah, I think. And then what is cognitive competence? I would like, yeah, because although that metacognition is introduced in 1976 by Plato, but I would like, yeah, here only to refresh what yeah, relating to the metacognitive competence. Yeah, as we know that the metacognitive competence can be defined as thinking about thinking, or the ability to think, which involve which also involve the ability to control and regulate his or her thinking activities. Yeah, with metacognition, the learner knows that she knows, and then knows that she doesn't know, or she does not know. And then with metacognition can help learner understand how they learn. And then with metacognition can process created for the learners to think how they think. Yeah, metacognition is knowledge of learner thinking process, knowledge of cognition and ability to regulate and control his cognitive activities in thinkings. And with metacognition, it helps learners in becoming aware of the individual learning experiences of their own experiences, the activity they involve themselves. And with metacognition, it allows learners to reflect on what they know. I think that it is reflection activities, how the learner reflect on what they know, who they are, what they wish to know, and how they can reach that point. Yeah, how they know about himself, themselves. I mean, yeah, Of course, that the impacts in learning teaching process, the roles of teacher is important here. Teacher must be reflective in the practice, so they can keep on growing, continue to meet their student needs, evaluate their own growth and scales. So metacognition plays very important role in success of student in their learning. Yeah. Some researchers divide metacognition or metacognitive competence to be metacognitive knowledge and metacognitive regulation. And then metacognitive knowledge is divided into declarative knowledge, procedural knowledge, and conditional knowledge. And then for metacognitive regulation, it is divided into planning, monitoring, and evaluating. Metacognitive knowledge includes what you know about your own thinkings. Yeah. And what you know about strategies of learning. Metacognitive declarative metacognition as part of metacognitive knowledge. Declarative metacognitive knowledge is knowledge about factual information that can be described or explained conceptually. Yeah, it's been that one knows that and knows about herself as a learner, and then have demands of a task and what learning strategy actions. For example, it's like in teaching English, in learning English, students know that to express past event in English, that they know that when want to express past event in English, they must use past tense or verb to forms of verb. It is called declarative metacognitive knowledge. And declarative knowledge can also be interpreted as knowledge of or knowledge or awareness about themselves as student and what factors can affect their performance as a student. And then the second is conditional metacognitive knowledge. It's mean that relating to the knowing when, and then why, and then involve knowing how to use learning strategy. It is knowledge related to when procedure or strategy is used and when it is not used, under what the condition a procedure can be used. and why one prejudice is better than another. For example, conditional metacognitive knowledge. For example, like when if the students are faced with an unfamiliar word, then the student can find the meaning of the word through the context. And if they cannot find it, they find an alternative. They can look it up in the dictionary. Yeah, it's mean that if the metacognitive cognition scales can be conditioned, it will have implication that student can be trained by using stimuli or action as part of a set of condition in a particular context, of course. And when students recognize a certain condition, the student will take action that are influenced by this condition. And then the last is about the procedural metacognitive knowledge. It's referred as metacognitive skills. It's been knowing how, knowing when and why to use particular learning strategies. Procedural knowledge is knowledge about how to use strategies and how to use their skill or abilities to solve the problem they face effectively. And then the metacognitive regulation and for the action should be taken in order to learn plannings, monitoring, and evaluating. Planning and for deciding what strategy to use for a future learning task and when you will use them. Monitoring and for assessing and understanding concepts and the effectiveness of the strategies while learning. And then evaluating and for pricing the prior plans and adjust it for future learning. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, and then we come to the basic concept of developing students' metacognition and learning English. Yeah, by recognizing the strengths and weaknesses, as we have discussed before, that actually that when we're talking about metacognition, it means that we're talking about how the students know well about his or her strengths and weaknesses, and they can or she or he able to find the best way to overcome the problem that they have, and then how they use their strengths to solve their problems. Yeah. Everyone's ways of learning is different depending on his or sub-knowledge about how he should learn. This means that, when they want to solve the problems and when students have difficulties, it means that they can use their own knowledge to solve the problems. a learner will feel comfortable in learning if it is done by sometime that we have learners that their own way to learn some things, and they recognize they recognize his or her weaknesses, and then some students, because they like learning by him or herself, and then they don't like to learning with the peers. And then that the students will the students will use their way to learn some things. Something like some students like studying in quiet place, but the others might be like studying while listening to music, and then they do as the way he have, and he or she likes in studying, because he or she knows their strengths and their weaknesses in learning. And then metacognition in learning, it's related to the high awareness of how to acquire knowledge. And by having a high awareness of how to acquire knowledge, learner will be able to regulate their behavior and then to optimize their learning. Okay, with understandings of their strengths of weakness, they will be able to improve their performance. There are some level of student metacognition. I think that it is. I would like to skip this one. There is a tacit use and war use, and a strategic use, and reflective use. It is 4 levels of student metacognition in solving problems. So I think that it's needed for the teacher or for the student himself to know their level in thinking, especially in thinking in the thinking process, or in their metacognition and their knowledge. I think that by knowing the levels of student metacognition, it can be used by the teacher to determine learning strategies that should be done by the students. And for the students, I think that the level of the ability can be used as basis of determining the learning process that should with their own strengths and weaknesses. And the development of student metacognitive cognitive ability level can be done through developing their scientific thinking patterns, as start from identifying and then analyzing, and then identifying, exploring, and then analyzing, and then present things. I think that the scientific thinking pattern can be used to develop the student metacognitive competence or metacognitive ability. Yes, I said before that this knowledge are needed. How to needed to the student to things to solve their problems. Bapak Ibu, and we come to the rules of metacognitive in the learning process. The student thinking's ability, I think it is one of the indicators to determine the quality of learning process. As I mentioned before that metacognition is able to be student awareness and control of her cognitive activity. The other roles of metacognition and learning processes, it will help the student to evaluate error and deficiencies in problem solving. Of course, that why we talks about metacognition and learning process, because metacognition plays an important role in the learning activities. And according to Baron, metacognition has 4 characteristics. These are knowing the goals to be achieved through the thought process, and choosing strategies to achieve goals, observing the process, developing self-knowledge to see whether the chosen strategy is appropriate, and evaluating result to find out whether the goals have been achieved. And how to develop metacognitive for our students. The first one is build the self-confidence that they have as you know that the student believes about their own abilities will help students grow self-confidence to improve self-performance and solve the problem they face. This belief also helps students in building reflective performance and solve the problem they face. And it also building a reflective mindset to find alternative solution to their learning problems and determine the steps to achieve their learning achievement. And the second one is, train and familiarize students with recognizing what they don't understand. Training and getting used to recognizing and identifying student understanding of a certain thing is an important part of developing self-awareness to build metacognition. Take time at the end of the class to ask, I think that when we end our class, and then we can take time to ask the challenging question to train and to train a primary student with recognizing what they don't understand. For example, like what was the most confusing things about the material we studied today? It is a question that can be trained or familiarized student with recognizing what they don't understand. Yeah, and then there are some questions that we can keep to a student to train and familiarize student with recognizing what they don't understand. And then, yeah, we can provide opportunities for students to recognize their own cognitive growth. High order thinking skill are fostered when students learn to recognize their own cognitive growth. Yeah, sometimes that we must train or we must give opportunities to students to recognize their cognitive growth. For example, that they can make a statement before this, before a lessons, yeah, and after they have got the lesson. The reflective statements, I think that it will be and yeah, useful for the student to recognize their cognitive growth. For example, before the lesson, yeah, the student can make a statement, something like, I thought that reported text was the same as recon text. And then, yeah, after they have learning process, and then they can make a new statement relating to their own cognitive yeah. And then the other strategies is we encourage students to always keep a journal of their learning progress. One way to help students monitor their own thinkings or thinking reflectively, it can be used personal learning journals. We can, for example, make some questions to direct the student to have a journal in the learning progress. For example, like, what did I find issues to learn this week? Why? And then what was the most challenging for me to learn? And then there is some question that can be introduced to as our student to encourage the student to make journals. Yeah. It is only some example that can be introduced to our session. And then the next strategy says how to improve student skill in self-evaluation. Self-evaluation is monitoring process that is carried out independently after carrying out of the learning process. Yeah. Before class, for example, we can provide some tips on active listening. After the lesson, and then we can ask the student to write down some of the key ideas from the lesson. And after that, they can share, or the student can share what they believe about, they have learning. And then we can ask the student to check themselves whether that they have understood about the material that they have already learning. Yeah, I think that we can train our student to have a self-evaluation. And then the other strategies is how we can facilitate effective thinkings. Yeah, I think that we know well that reflective thinking is a metacognitive process to understand the existence of assumption or alternative ideas behind the thought of the student themselves. Yeah, I think that reflective thinking is very important for. And yeah, I think that the last, we can facilitate students on problem-solving skills. As right now, I think that we have already introduced to them by using problem-based learning. Yeah, I think that all that strategy that we can do to develop metacognitive competence, or to develop our student metacognitive competence. And yeah, I would like to come to my conclusion that prompts what I have already presented. Yeah, of course, that the learner must be prepared to become strong and independent people. Yeah, who are able to face all the problems and challenges of life, more specifically the challenges of learning in the future. By developing metacognitive competence, the students are expected to be processed and accustomed to their learning experiences. I think that the key word is how we can process and make the accustomed in the learning process, so it can be implemented in any kinds of learning methods or learning approach that we have. The important thing is how we can realize what kind of competence that we will to introduce in the learning process. Yeah, I think that through learning innovation, teachers are expected to be able to align student metacognitive abilities with the development of, when our students have metacognitive abilities or metacognitive skill or metacognitive competence, to develop their competence in language, I think that it's not hard for them. It's not difficult for them. As Pununo said, how that they independently, the autonomy, when they have the autonomy and learning, I think that they can develop their their skills in English, right? Like in listening and speaking and reading and writing, and the important things also that they can develop their communicative competence. Okay, with their metacognitive abilities, as I think that, as I said before, the students are able to overcome difficulties and then solve their own problems, and they find appropriate solution in the process of learning English as a foreign language, and then to obtain the cognitive competence as the curriculums demand, and whether in Kurtilas curriculum or in freedom to learn curriculums. Bu Bahasa, thank you. I think that's all that I would like to share today. I hope that it will be useful for us here today. Okay. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Pak Seno, for delivering interesting topic for us all in this seminar. I penned down some notes in relation to what you have already presented to the audience, that competencies of 21st century learning includes ways of thinking, tools of working, skills for living in the world, and ways of working. A good learner who is able to recognize his or her own strengths and weaknesses with a high awareness of how to be acquired, of how to acquire knowledge, learners will be able to regulate their behavior to optimize their learning. And the last one, that students can gain or obtain their communicative competence by acquiring metacognition abilities. Once again, thank you, Pak Seno. Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to join Pak Seno on the stage, I would like to invite our second speaker, who will be talking about curriculum design and lesson planning within the context of freedom to learn curriculum. Her name is Dr. Listianing Sumardiani, SPD MHUM. She is the former head of Teacher Professional Education Program, Universitas PGRI Semarang. Dr. Listianing graduated from her doctoral program from Universitas Negeri Semarang, majoring on English education. Her research focuses on education and curriculum. She has many article publications in national and international accredited journals. Good morning, please.
Good morning.
Are you already? Yeah, thank you for giving us time, please. Ready for the presentation?
Yes, Allah.
Okay, now time is yours, ma'am. You have 45 minutes for the
All
presentation.
right. Yes, thank you, Bu Faiza.
Yes, you are welcome, ma'am.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone, dear colleagues, Pak Seno, Bu Nunu, who else? I cannot name one by one. Bu Utami, oh, hello, Bu Utami, how are you? And also my beloved students are also here. All right, I would like to share my screen first. But before I start, I would like you to watch the video.
Police, I think you need to tick the box on the bottom. You stop the.
Button?
Yeah. You need to share the sound as well. So you should.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Stop the share first, and
Oh,
then
okay.
redo it again, and then click the button on the left. The left button. So, jadi Ibu share screen biasa. Kemudian di bawah itu ada share sound. Itu dicentang Ibu tombolnya di sebelah kiri bawah.
Okay.
Jadi biar kita bisa dengerin juga musiknya.
All right.
Yes.
That's all. Share sound. Only the share sound, right?
Yes.
To optimize for the video.
Just the
No?
share sound. Just the share sound.
Yes, thank you, Bunu.
Yes, well, most welcome.
Sorry, but I can't use this device. Since I forgot the password, I have to give the password. So you don't hear the sound? No?
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't, ma'am.
It needs a password and I forgot.
Oh. Okay.
Then I will just show you the movie.
Okay.
Yes, what's the what is it? Can you see the video? Sorry?
Not yet, ma'am.
Let me try. Sorry, I can share the sound with you. Well, it's about setting goals. Setting goals is the first step to turning something invisible into visible. If we don't start, then it certainly can't arrive. Oh, sorry. All right. Let me start from the beginning. Sorry that I couldn't share the slides due to the limitation of my my computer. This works the message. So the major reason for setting a goals is to accomplish it. It is very important to set goals. So the goals succeed because they know where they are going. You are the only one who can use your ability, your very ability. So that pursue and reach your goals. And others. Yeah. Sorry about the sounds. Now let me share my pointers. No, I'm good.
Sorry, I'm not hear your voice, Pulistianing.
Yes, not yet. But I'm still trying to share my screen. Go down. Something wrong with the video. I think I should escape first. Punung, Bu Faiza.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
There's a problem with my device. I think
Yeah. Maybe Punung can help you to share the material.
You can send it over to me and I will help you to send it, ma'am. Yeah.
Let me try. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, let me start over again. As I have already mentioned that I was assigned here by the head of the Magister English education program to share this curriculum design and lesson planning within the context of freedom to learn curriculum. I would like to start with some quote from Benjamin Franklin. If you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. I take this as a start to invite you to discuss about how important is planning. In our context, plan is in the form of course, how we set our goals, how to achieve, and what sort of aspects to be considered. In this context, we have curriculum design and also lesson planning. Because we don't want to be, because we don't want to fail, right? So I would like to start with a conceptual perspective dealing with curriculum design. Here, curriculum is stated by Schwab as something which is successfully conveyed to differing degrees to different students by committed teachers using appropriate materials and actions in the teaching of specific group of students. So the keywords here is differing degrees, different students, and also materials, teaching materials, and then the way the teachers act towards the context. Whereas talking about lesson planning, I quote one thing here. A lesson plan is the instructor's roadmap of what students need to learn and how it will be done effectively during the class time. If I would like to borrow what Pak Seno has already stated about metacognitive skills, then to my observations, to my belief that understanding the conceptual framework of things is important so that it can also become a lead to the following steps, in terms of what is dealing with the topic we discussed. That is why I think this will also help us to come to focus on the conceptual aspects of the curriculum designs and also lesson planning. Although I believe this is not something new for you and also for most of you, and also you are with them, day by day. Okay, this is also a lesson plan for teachers is the most important traits as tools. They are a tool to promote or to make teachers confidence, since by doing the planning, it means they are also actually preparing themselves to be ready to teach. So it will help teachers well prepared and aware of what she or he intends on teaching the students. I would like to invite your your response on this statement especially. Please just take note first. Are you sure that to your experience, especially you teachers, when you plan a lesson, then are you aware of what you intend to teach, what you write, what you formulate in terms of the objectives, the learning objectives, and also the learning objectives, and also becomes the compass, if I may say so, compass of choosing or become the basis of choosing the teaching materials, the learning experience for the students. I would like to hear from you, especially teachers. Yeah? Are you aware of this? That when you plan a lesson, you intentionally write this, choosing the specific teaching materials and also learning strategies, intentionally for the benefit of achieving the goals or the objectives. That's my question for you. All right, but let us proceed first. I also would like to quote what important insights from Taba, that is that the renovation of curricula and program is not a short effort, but a long process. Do you agree with this statement? How do you experience being teachers? For how many curriculums you have experience of implementing and trying to implement? Do you agree that this is a long process, not just a short effort? And another insights from Taba is thinking can be taught. Well, I guess this has been already supported by Pak Seno's just now presentations, concerning with metacognition. Since thinking is an active transaction between individual and data. Okay. All right, now let us start developing curriculum. So what's the difference between developing curriculum and designing curriculum first? When we talk about developing curriculum, then just like what we do when we try to develop something, then step by steps, right? Or topic by topic, something. But when we talk about, when we choose the terms design, then it means that we just we start from the very outcomes or objectives. Okay, so what questions should we ask for ourselves? First is the purpose, educational purposes first. Educational purposes the school should seek to attain. So this is in the level of schools. Achievement. Secondly, what educational experiences can be provided, and then how can these educational experiences be effectively organized? How? And the last, how can we determine whether and to what extent these purposes are being attained, whether or not the objectives are achieved? All right, so these are four basic questions for us as a reflection on actions, meaning reflection before actions, before you do the activities, the actions of teaching, when you do the preparations. Okay. All right. I would like just to, there are so many models of curriculum design, and I quote from Taylor's, Ralph Taylor, concerning with the curriculum design. When this is what Taylor's proposed, that when we talk about designing curriculum, then we think about the nature and structure of knowledge, the needs of the society, and the needs of the learner. These three important components, aspects, are supposed to be taken into considerations as the basis of the development of the curriculum. The knowledge, the needs of the society, and most importantly, of course, the learner's need. Whereas the process are determined by these aspects. Firstly is the philosophy of education's underlying the development of the curriculum, and then the goals and the aims being the ultimate goals or the aims of the educational process. And then the general instructional objectives, specific instructional objectives or outcomes, and then the text analysis and content selections, and then learning activities. These are the things that should be mind and also deliberate when we develop our curriculum. In a different perspective here, you can also see from Oliva, when we think about developing a curriculum, then we also have to think about the goal gain or competencies, and then the essential content, and then the delivery system and method, and the assessment or evaluation. This is in a different terms as we develop the curriculum. These are also things which should be considered. Talking about the goals, then, as Taylor has also stated, this is the goals or the outcomes or the general objectives, and then up to the specific objectives, and then the profile. The profile can be the ultimate goals of the process, and then competencies, the competencies, the learning outcomes. These are some of the levels of achievements that we should consider. When we talk about objectives and when the learning outcomes are, of course, they deals with what we call also the competencies. And to gain the goals, of course, there must be some medium to also facilitating the learners, not only developing the skills, but also the understanding or constructing the dimensions or the domains of knowledge. That is why the essential content knowledge will be also to be one of the things can be considered as the essential aspects. When we talk about choosing the content knowledge, then we should also consider how this content knowledge will also promote students in developing not only the competencies like what has been stated or formulated in the objectives or goals, but also the soft skills that students are supposed to be developing themselves, the skills, just like the critical thinkings, and then also creative thinking, and then compassions, and also computational thinking, and then developing their skills in higher order thinking as well. So how we use this content knowledge to facilitate students to promote those soft skills. And of course, this will be very greatly influenced by how we designed or how we developed the delivery process or delivery aspects of promoting students' competence by providing them with meaningful learning experience, which will promote not only the hard skills of the students' hard skills, but also the soft skills as well. Just considering the methods, strategies of learning, of course, and what has been affirmed by the government, especially the Ministry of Education. It has become a policy of the Ministry of Education is the project-based learning. To check whether or not the goals are attained or gained, then how we assess and evaluate, the types of assessment should be also considered, and then the techniques, and then the various rubrics which can be used to assess the achievement of the goals. So these are some of the important aspects when we talk about designing or developing a curriculum. I believe you are very familiar with this one. Concerning with the purpose, then, as I previously mentioned, the aims, the goals, the objectives should be achieved, right from the very ultimate goals, the aims, and then also up to the very specific goals. And one terms which is used, which I used here, is as the what do you call that? As the reference for you as the guideline for you to work when developing or designing a curriculum is what we call the constructive alignment. Well, this is actually a simple things that is how we develop, how we construct the curriculums or the designing the curriculum or the plan in accordance with the right from the very goals up to the very specific objectives, and then it becomes also the basis of choosing the teaching materials, and then the methods or the learning experience for the students, and then also the way of assessing the students' achievement. This is what we call the constructive alignment. To make sure whether or not you are on the track of achieving the goals or the aims or the objectives. All right, when we talk about curriculum objectives, I believe you are also familiar with the terms about choosing the verbs, and then utilizing the taxonomies, and then also choosing the subject matter as the content knowledge of the formula of your objectives statements. And then also when we talk about the content knowledge, then we think, we consider about this one. The selection of the subject matter, again, it should goes along with the objectives, and then how we organize the subject matter or the discipline in order that the students can step by steps processing themselves to achieve the ultimate goal by the end of the semester or by the end of the school programs. And then the theoretical basis of methods and approaches. This is also another aspects that will affect you in developing a curriculum or designing a curriculum or planning a lessons. Just take, for example, when we talk about theoretical basis of method and approaches is, for example, when we teach English as foreign language. So it will be different when we, the method or the approach we use when we teach our students English as first or second language, for example. And then also the belief of the subject matter, about the subject matter itself. It means it relates to the knowledge. Yeah? It relates to the background knowledge of the subject matter being taught. Take, for example, language. So in linguistics, we believe that language is a system of sounds representing meaning, etc., and so forth. If we believe so to this statement, then it will also affect our choice to the method and to the approaches we use. All right, and then what educational experiences? Yeah, so the learning experience you design, you choose, you create for your students to have, so that they will be able to achieve the goal. When we talk about selection, the subject matter, these are some of the aspects that you should consider: the relevance, the importance, the priority, and in the scope, the depth of the coverage, the sequence, the hierarchy, the progression of the complexity or difficulty. I believe you are very familiar with this one. And probably this, I just want to remind you about this one. When we approach about the subject matter, then we should consider also in this very digital world, whether or not our subject matter are supposed to be in textual, with what form of text, what form of text, printed maybe, or electronic, or what any other digital works, and then it's also to be experimental, developmental, psychosocial, and also experiential. Those are some aspects that you should consider, so that the students will be facilitated to use their five senses, so that the lesson learned will be long-lasting. When you stimulate the five senses of the students, yet you also have to consider the difference, uniqueness of the students of your class. All right, now the most important thing also that we should consider is the students' needs or the learner's need. think about their cognitive development. Of course, this will also goes along with what Pak Seno has already presented, talking about developing cognitive skills, yeah, right from the up to the metacognitive one. And then the linguistic development, let alone we are English language teachers. And then the psychosocial development, and then the moral affective development, and also the vocational focus. So these are very comprehensive, right? And then how can these experiences be organized? Then you should consider about this one also. The subjects, the broadness, the core interdisciplinaries, the skills or processes, and the projects and the activities. Okay, take notes on these ones. This will become our basis of discussing about the freedom to learn curriculum. And then the grading level, sequencing of the content, the creation, effective, efficient, and also instructional strategies, and time allotment. Okay. All right, this is also some of the consideration when we develop our curriculum, whether or not meeting the objectives. Okay, right. All right, now the last needs is the needs of the society. How our students use their competencies to face the world, yeah, to survive, yeah, to be survive in this very world. Then we talk about literacy, vocational skills, and then also social order and morality, interpersonal skills, transmissions of values and culture, creativity, and innovations. So these are another aspects which we don't have the subject or the content knowledge. Yeah? So this should be most importantly considered when you choose the teaching or when you design your students' learning experience in your teaching and learning scenario. All right, now let's look into the freedom to learn curriculum. Dear all, I would like to start with, now let's have a look. When we talk about the society needs, what is then the needs of the society now, which are then addressed by the freedom to learn curriculum? Now let's have a look. Okay, but before we going deeper into that analysis, I would like to start with this one. There's a very positive statements that stating about the change of everything. Changing is the things that we should do to be survive in this world, right? And this is also happens to our curriculum. So why do the curriculum change from 2013 to the freedom to learn curriculum? These are some of the reasons. This is to respond to the dynamic of the society. What sort of society which is developing or improving to some extent, probably. And then continuous improvement. So this is the second considerations. And then the development of the science and technology due to the development of the science and technology. And then the governmental policy, organizational accountability. This is in the sense of organizing the resources, yeah, and then also the customer oriented, the need of the customer. In this case, our students, efficiency and effectivity, another aspects which drive the change of the curriculum, which drive the change of the previous curriculum to the new one, to the freedom to learn curriculum. Now, what sort of dynamizations of the society which drive the change of the curriculum? Now let's just have a look first. I would like to address this one first. All right, now this is also dealing with the development of the science and technology. Yeah? Our curriculum now is, you can check whether or not this is true, that the freedom to learn curriculum is using this OBE approach as the basis in developing the curriculum. Let's just check. Outcome-based education here is then have the implementation of the impact is to the curriculum-based, outcome-based curriculum. Do you agree that this curriculum is outcome-based curriculum? That we are now in the outcome-based education? Save your answer later. To my observations, to my understanding, yes. What's the indicator? What's the indicator? We start with profil pelajar Pancasila. So how do the profile looks like? This is the outcome-based curriculum. And that is why the curriculum are developed on the basis of how to achieve, how to develop, how to nurture the students so that they are able to become a Pancasilize something. Yeah. All right. So as the consequences of outcome-based curriculum, then we have what we call outcome-based learning and teaching. So this is the how, this is the process. This is how teachers designs, how teachers plan the students' learning experience, leading to achieving to the goals, all right, to the outcome. And then also, of course, as go back to our constructive analysis, this is outcome-based assessment and evaluation, of course. So everything here are outcome-based on the basis of the outcome. It should go along with the achievement of the outcome, the outcome or the objectives. All right. All right, now let's look into what is then the social, the society needs now. taking into consideration is what is the UNESCO has issued concerning with the SDGs. Yeah, that is how we have what we call quality educations. Yeah, quality education. And this is undertaken what we call the policy of what we call the blue curriculum. What is meant by blue? What is the difference with green curriculum? When we talk about blue curriculum, then we look inside into the curriculum itself, how the curriculum developed. Considering with the transformation of the educational spaces now, we are borderless. We have digital life. We have metaverse, right? And then for those of the very disruptive change in this very digital life, then the key persons as educators should be empowered. And then flexibility due to the technology development, yeah, flexibility and hybridity in connection, of course, with the facilities provided, yeah, or available in distinct area. And then students as central actors, and then cooperation with community. Okay, so engaging the community to the process of educations, either community, mass community, and then social community, and also industrial community. Cross-cutting competencies, just like what we do actually in our English language program, not only focusing on the development of the cognitive domain, but also the psychomotoric and also the affective one, so that we have what we call competencies inside, but also across fields. And then global futures curricular work across fields, yeah, global futures, global as well as promoting the local aspects of our life. All right, this is what is meant by cross-cutting. So cross-cutting skills and competencies, in other terms, probably we develop what the students' multiple intelligence, developing the students' multiple intelligence in terms of intellectuality, physicality, moral and ethical, social, and also economical. We can also add some other skills there. Okay, and higher order thinking skills are also supposed to be there, since this is also the 21st century skills, challenge. And then cognitive skills, it will very closely related to what Seno has already presented. Cognitive skills, creative thinking skills, problem solving skills, leadership skills also there. Okay, these are some of the issues concerning with what the freedom to learn curriculum try to address. You can see from the profile pelajar Pancasila. Yeah? Okay, later we will see that. And then issue about the local aspects here. Again, this is also comprehensive competence which are supposed to be developed. Not only knowing, but also acting psychomotorically and also being effectively. All right, not only local, but also global, from very local to very global, from very real to very virtual. These are our concerns in developing the curriculum. Okay, when we talk about the curriculum, the current curriculum, then you can see from the, okay, I would like to see first, okay, from the outcomes here. So if you notice that from what has been asked here or determined here to be attained is students' critical thinking, student creative thinking, students' independency, students' spirituality, students' students' skills or students' competence in relations to diversity from the very perspective, up to the actions, and then also collaborative skills. Noting these aspects, then we can say that actually from the perspective of the objectives or the outcome, we can see that the Ministerial of Education are actually trying to address those very issues that we have already mentioned about blue curriculum, and then also about local, right? You don't, when we talk about creativity, when we talk about critical thinking, then these are supposed to be there when we have to work with other nation citizens, right? With different citizenships, with in this very borderless big village of the world, right? Okay, and then these are some of the things that to be processed, concerning with achieving those ultimate goals or the aims to achieve to have those Pancasila students' profile, right? This is not that complicated, but this is not just that simple. But what I notice is what need to be raised in terms of the designers of the curriculum or the lesson planner is more to the awareness of the of their actions, either in planning. It means, do they do reflections on actions, meaning reflections before actions and after actions? And probably they also do the reflection in action when within the process of implementing the plan. So there must be, if we talk about referring back to some conceptual framework that I've noted, I have shared with you previously concerning with thinking is can be taught, and then when we talk about students' higher order thinking skills, and just like also promoting teachers and also learners of the awareness of what they do, what they choose, what they what they experience. Yeah, so these are some of the aspects that you should know, that you should consider. Whether or not you considering your students' cognitive processes dimensions when you develop the learning objectives, and then also in the dimension of the knowledge, do the teachers aware of this dimension of the knowledge, so that it will facilitate teachers to formulate the learning objectives as the as the compass of the rest of the aspects of the curriculum design, right? Properly, effectively, intelligently. So knowing this underlying concept is also important, so that this will, of course, at the end, will also help students to achieve these different domains of competencies. Not only the cognitive domain, but also affective and also psychomotor. Of course, you cannot achieve the affective domains right from only from one meeting to achieve the characterization as the highest competence in affective domain, right? You need the process, just like as I've already quoted, that this is not a short effort, but it is a long process of not only developing, designing, but also implementing and nurturing the students in order that we support the students' development of their competencies. So these are some of the pictures that should be developed. And as a consequences, then when we have, we want to achieve that kind of portrait that students, Pancasila, students' profile, then we can also think comprehensively in this way. Thinking about the achievement of the profile, then we think about ability to communication, ability to think critically, developing compassion, developing computation logics, right? And then also creative thinking, and we also dealing with some literacy, right? So these are some of the process that you can consider to be achieved, now to be implementing. Now let's check whether or not these are used there in the current curriculum. Problem-based learning or inquiry models of learning. You do use this then. So this will promote collaborations, right? And then also project-based learning. Also project-based learning. These are also, emphasized, right, in the implementation of this very curriculum. And then here also, technology literacy. This is also very recent curriculum. Yeah, are there. The everything are supposed to be digitalized, right? And then the teacher also are supposed to develop themselves in concerning with using digital sources, right? Literate in using technology in various types, right? Up to the virtual reality. All right. Well, I think this is what I found in relation to the conceptual framework to the implementation of the curriculum, to the recent curriculum. And I invite the discussion, of course, from you all to what I have already presented here. To Faiza, thank you. I'll go back to you and invite comments, response, and discussions to the floors. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Police, for the insightful presentation and for taking us through the endeavor and plans in how designing curriculum and lesson plans in freedom to learn curriculum context. Once again, thank you very much, Police, for your presentation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as it was informed by Police before that Police invited us, and of course, Pak Seno too, to have the discussion for these topics from the two speakers. Deliver your question by clicking the raise hand button or by writing them down in the chat box. It seems that we have the first question from Bu Ut to Pak Seno first, please.
Okay.
Okay, Pak Seno, this question is from Bu Ut.
Okay.
We know that English learners in Indonesia has been learning a long time since elementary school, but the students are still unable to write well in English. Where does something go wrong here?
Okay. Okay, I can answer directly.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Puud. Yeah, I think that what Puud thinks about the Indonesian learner, especially for English as a foreign language learners. Yeah, we have still problems, and they have difficulties to develop their competence in speaking or in writing or in reading or in listening. Yeah, especially for how they can communicate in English. Yeah. Often, especially for learning English, often we blame the position of English in Indonesia. For example, English is considered as a foreign language. We always blame this one, and then not the mother tongues, not the language used in everyday life. Yeah, and then the children are not used to hearing or using it in their daily life, and they think that the environment is also not supportive. I mean that they cannot practice their English or speak to the others or with their friends in daily life. Yeah, actually that this can, right now, I think that this cannot be used as an excuse. Currently, I think, nowadays, I think that to learn English, including other subjects, I think, not only English. We can independently learn, from, for example, like from the internet. We can learn, for example, like how to pronounce over time, and then we can we can access English material easily right now. Okay, regarding to my material today, if we come in deep and we study deep and with the problems here. The first is maybe the children or students do not feel that English is their need. Yeah, and they think that English is not important. In this case, I think that the metacognition component or the metacognitive component is needed. Yeah, how do children recognize their needs, recognize their difficulties, recognize their own potential or the potential of the environment to overcome their problems? Of course, it is, the teacher or the parents should be accompany them, and this means that can direct or can accompany them to get to recognize their need, recognize their difficulties. Yeah. When they know about their needs, they know about the difficulties, they recognize their own potential. I think that it will motivate them to learn English. If the metacognitive ability is developed, then they will run as fast as they can. Yeah, we just have to accompany them to control them, so they run in the right track. I think it is my answer to Faiza.
Okay, Bu Ut, in short, your question that you addressed to Pak Seno, in short that Pak Seno answer your question that the students are still unable to write well because they haven't known themselves yet. Sorry.
Yeah.
For this, parents or the people around the student should accompany them to learn and find appropriate materials and exercises for them, so they can be accused to learn, and it is by process ya Pak Seno ya, to be able to write English well. Okay, that's all, Bu Ut. Is that clear for you, Bu Ut?
It is only one way or two.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe in another time we can discuss.
Okay.
Furthermore.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Pak Seno, thank you. Bu Ut, you still have one more question
To
for
Mrs. Listianing.
Ya, kalau boleh di Indonesia kan apa ya, Bu Ut ini? Masih mute, Bu. Masih mute, Bu.
Saya senang sekali dengan konsep merdeka belajar ya. Jadi kita itu belajar bahasa Inggris itu kan lama sekali. Anak-anak Indonesia itu belajar bahasa Inggris lama sekali. Bahkan kalau sekarang malah mulai PAUD saja sudah diberikan. Tetapi kenyataannya sampai lulus SMA itu hanya 1-2 saja yang benar-benar bisa berbahasa Inggris. Ya, biasanya itu keluar pintu sudah lupa. Atau mereka mungkin salah mempelajarinya. Yang dihafalkan adalah pattern. Ya. Nah, karena apa? Karena teksnya itu juga seringkali bukan teks yang natural dari alam Indonesia. Ya, masih buku-buku bahasa Inggris yang teksnya itu, kontennya itu culture-nya barat begitu. Nah, sebenarnya kita bisa ya cerita wayang atau apa keseharian yang ada di sekitar kita, seperti misalnya sederhana aja misalnya why the tiger stripes. Nah, misalnya begitu. Kemudian bla 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 kita preteli itu patternnya. Kenapa mesti harus menggunakan past tense, harus menggunakan present? Kapan kita belajar itu? Nah, saya kira dalam situasi yang lebih bebas itu seperti konsep belajar merdeka sekarang ini, tadi banyak sekali disinggung oleh Bu Lis, saya kira akan lebih nyaman itu anak-anak belajar, dan insya Allah anak-anak akan lebih tahu bagaimana mereka harus menggunakan bahasa Inggris. Ya, that is my
It is a question or opinion, Bu Ut?
Iya,
Sorry. Ini pertanyaan atau opini, Bu? Yang untuk
ya
Pulis, Bu?
pertanyaan ya opini
Yeah.
begitu.
Oh, oke.
Maybe Buddhist will give a response to it.
Yes, thank you very much, Bu Utami. Well, I think this is a challenge, you know, for us when we talk about the students' achievement, yeah, in learning English. Up to the current situations, this is not yet satisfying like what we expect. Yet the effort of the government to help the students to promote their achievement, as I've already mentioned there, like what Bu Utami has already also stated about facilitating student with the atmosphere, yeah, of the classroom
In
atmosphere, positive classroom atmosphere, and then also the idea of local, yeah, the idea of local aspect are also accommodated here in this curriculum, right? So using the students' very context, yeah, students' own very context are also one of the way to facilitate the students. And also the idea of English now is not the English is a lingua franca, meaning that those people using English is from the native speakers. The native speaker is of course overwhelmed by the non-native speaker. That is why they are more diverse dialect or what is it? Yeah, of English. That is why this is very a good policy, I guess. At least we have tried to answers, yeah, to solve this critical problems, yeah, concerning with students' achievement in terms of English language ability. I guess that's what I can say about Bu Faisal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Bu Ut, is that satisfying for the
Iya,
answer?
sementara cukup.
Oke, terima kasih Bu Ut untuk partisipasinya. Pulis, we have a question from you. This is from alumni, but the person send me.
Ada yang sebelumnya ada Pak Zen itu, Pak Zainuddin.
Oh iya, oke, kita ke Pak Zen dulu, tidak apa-apa. Nanti saya akan bacakan yang untuk Pulis. This is to Pak Seno dari Pak Zen. Considering that there are fast learners and slow ones in our classroom of junior high school level, is there any special strategies in developing metacognitive competence to cover both of them? Sudah, Pak? That's the question from Pak Zen, Pak Seno, for you.
Still mute. Okay. Thank you, Pak Zen. Yeah. I think that the material that I presented relating to the development of student metacognitive competence is suitable with your questions, I think. Only that I would like to say that it is only one of the overcome the problems that you have, as you have slow learners and fast learners. The development of metacognitive is one of about one of the answer of your problems
One of the
to
possible
solve.
solutions.
To solve, yeah, to solve the difference in learner characteristic. Yeah, I think that we can invite the children to, yeah, especially for the slow learner, yeah, to recognize themselves about their own difficulties and then their own problems in learning, and then the ways of learning, or find ways to overcome their problems. Yeah, it is possible that Pak Zen may be found that the slow learners may need more time to learn. So I think that the students should realize that they have the students need time to learn. Yeah, need span of time to learn. And then, yeah, you can also invite them to find the best way to learn. It's mean that find ways to learn. And I think that the point is how they can finally independently recognize their shortcomings and find ways to overcome their shortcomings. I think, yeah, that's all my answer, Pak Z.
Okay, thank you, Pak Seno. Pak Yen, do you want to add some more question or response to Pak Seno's statement?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it's interesting to talk about this because as teachers in junior high school level, we find difficulties in developing our students, especially academic competence, and to tell the truth, because know that the level of their thinking skills is still low, and maybe that, as stated by Pak Seno yesterday, I do agree that need more times, and it's a kind of, I think it's perfect. So I think Pak Seno has answered my questions completely. Thank you very much, Pak Seno.
You're welcome.
Okay, you are welcome, Pak Zen. Okay, the next question from Pak Arif Ikhwanuddin. This is for Pak Seno and Police. What is the role of the teacher in freedom curriculum? Because the teacher have additional administration to plan until assessing from intracurricular and students profile of Pancasila. Mr. Arif is asking about the role of the teacher. This is for Pak
Maybe
Seno and
police first.
Thank you, Barif. How are you, Barif?
I'm so good, Police.
Oh,
Thank
you
you.
look so little on my screen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you mentioned about the roles of the teacher. What you have already stated there about what is it? Administration to plan until assessing. Those are some of the teachers' roles or duties, right?
Yes, it's my duties of the teacher, but I think that we have additional administrative because we are there is a lesson plan until what is it, a syllabus. There is all of them.
Yeah. All right, Pa Arif. That's true. Yeah, that's the task or the duty of teacher. But I think the most important thing, the role of the teacher is you start by designing, right? You plan, right? So when you do the planning, then probably your work in the classroom works you have less burden in the classroom activities, but you have more burden outside the class, like the planning, right? How you think about uh, the objectives, whether or not the objectives are achievable. You have to think it smart, right? And then you have to use the teaching materials, and most importantly, how you design the teaching scenario for the students' learning experience, so that from which activities you are supposed also to use the activities as means to assess the students' capacity, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's true. I don't know how the load of your works with the new curriculum. You have more burden, but you can share with your colleagues, right? You can share with your colleagues.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, in terms of developing or designing the curriculum or planning the lessons, in terms of organizing the learners, the learners activities, yeah, either in co-curricular or extracurricular, or intracurricular. But I would like to remind you that the most important role of the teacher is being a model for the student. You being a good model for your students. Thank you, Barry. That's all Bahasa from me.
Thank you, Bulis.
Iya, Pak Arif.
Okay.
So, okay, Pak Seno.
Okay, I would like only add what Bulis say to Mas Arif. Yeah. You can start from your deep in heart, that when you want to come to school, yeah, and then you can start from your heart, that you want to give the best for your students. Yeah, if you have something like this, yeah. And a class of course. And as Puli said, that you will give the best to your student, and then you must have a good plan, and then you can add. I mean that you can arrange your learning process in a good ways, and then you will give something that it is needed by your students. And the rules, as for example, like the administration, it is only educational, and then if you menikmati, if you menikmati your duties as like this, I think that it doesn't matter. It is not a big problem for you. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Ubaiza, I would like to ask Pak Arif one thing.
Yes.
Pak
Sure, ma'am.
Arif, yeah, it makes. I wonder whether your being teacher is because of Buddhist. No, right? No, I hope not.
Yes, it is one of a factor, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I hope you are processing yourself. I believe you are very what is it? compassionate teacher. Yes, I can see that. That's because of me. Yeah, Bu Faiza, thank you.
Thank you, Pulis. Saya akan bacakan dulu yang dari alumni ya, Pak Seno sama Pulis. Izin dulu ini sebelum kita beralih ke pertanyaan yang ada di chat. Sebentar Ibu, tadi mana ini? This is for Pulis. How is the implementation of OBE at master's level? What is the implementation of OBA for the master's level?
Master's level.
Master, nggih Bu. Untuk pasca.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's enough, ma'am.
All right. So whose question is it, Bu Faiza?
This is from alumni and for you. This is addressed for you, ma'am.
Okay. All right. For master levels, there's no difference between master level for whatever levels. Yeah, concerning with the OBE approach in developing or in designing curriculum or lesson planning. And since outcome-based educations, yeah, in master, then we can start with what is the outcome of the master degree in, let's say, English education of postgraduate program in Inggris, for example. What is the profile of the graduate of the master degree program in Inggris? That will become one of the that's the starting point of the how this OBE applied in this master degree program. So what is the profile? The profile of the graduate of the master degree program of Inggris, say for example in English education, is being a curriculum developer or curriculum analyst, yeah, and then also take for example that one, for example, then we can then break this down into some. This is the goals, this is the aims, then into some general objectives, break it down into some specific objectives, right? Those are the basis of the developing or designing the curriculum. For example, then the general objectives is for certain subject, for example. It should goes with for example, the subject is curriculum and material analysis. Of course, then this will support, this will give experience to the students in a way that providing students with experience, for example, in analyzing the curriculum, for example. So this will go with it. So ability to analyze a curriculum. So and then when this is the general objective, for example, yeah, this is the general objective. The outcome is the profile is being a curriculum analyst, yeah, the grade one of the master degree, for example. And then the specific objectives, for example, in the very first, it probably can be achieved in several meetings, for example, identifying the learning objectives, for example, or the learning outcomes of the curriculum design, for example. And then other specific objectives, deciding whether or not the objectives relevant to the outcome, for example. Those are the objectives. So that's the how the OBE implemented in the master degree level as the example to Faiza.
Okay, so you mean that this actually is the same as OPE when it is applied in S1, ya Bu?
Yes, in whatever levels, yeah, in
Okay.
whatever levels. But the idea is the concept is the approach is that outcome-based education. It means that the educations are developed on the basis of the orientations of the education is the product. So what is the product? The result, that is the profile. In
Okay.
the context of freedom to learn curriculum, then pelajar Pancasila. In the context of English language education master degree in postgraduate program of UGRIS, for example, the profile is curriculum analyst, for example, yeah, or researchers, for example. Then this can be broken down into some general objectives, through some subjects or mata kuliah, and then
Okay.
from every subjects or mata kuliah, and then also broken down into more specific objectives within the subjects, which are achieved through several meetings. That's how the ideas of outcome-based either educations or curriculum or teaching and learning or assessment and evaluations. Bahasa.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Next question is still for police. This is from Dwi Siwi Anggraini. When freedom to learn curriculum is applied, will it be wise if all the measurement of the English learning process for the 4 aspects, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, of our EFL students is measured only by the outcome-based assessment and evaluation? How about when we find a student who has learning preference in speaking but cannot produce a good or well-arranged text in writing, or vice versa, ma'am?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Dwi. Thank you. Well, as I've already stated, when we talk about outcome-based education or outcome-based assessment, etc., and so forth, then this is this tells us that what we develop, what we design, what we plan, is on the basis of the outcome, of the objectives, of the general or special objectives, of the aims of the educations. Yeah, and then concerning with what the problem you mentioned, and then it depends then what is the outcome, what is the objectives you want to achieve. That's the answer. If you then in terms of the implementation of freedom to learn curriculum, then I believe you also understand that learning in differentiations are one of the principles should be there, right? So it doesn't matter whether the students have preferences in or better performed in their speaking as the opposition of their writing. That's also possible. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is that then the instrument you use, to assess, of course, using the specific instrument to assess the skills. And concerning with the student performance in general, student achievement in general, then you can, then you can make a kind of calculation whether in a comprehensive score, then the students will achieve what grade, for example. Yeah, yet there's nothing. I mean that it seems to me that what you understand is that when we talk about outcome-based education or outcome-based assessment and assessment and evaluation, is that we check our students competence, achievement, or students achievement of the goals that we have already stated is on the basis of the simply the outcome. No, what I mean, the idea of outcome-based assessment doesn't necessarily means only what are supposed to be being assessed is the outcome. Not necessarily that way, because you also need to encourage your students to process themselves in or to develop their potency, their competence through the process of learning, and that will be also worth rewarding. Yeah. So when we talk about outcome-based idea of education or assessment, doesn't necessarily means only the outcome which are assessed. Yeah, not only the outcome which are assessed. No, not necessarily that way. But it in terms of that, in terms that we design this curricula or plan on the basis of the achievement of the outcome. Okay, that's what my answer to Dwi. Okay, yeah.
Bu Siwi?
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
very much. Thank you, Bu Liz.
Yes, thank you.
Mau
Bu Siwi,
menambahkan, Bu
for the
Siwi?
questions.
Atau memberikan respon?
Yeah, I think it is enough. Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe I have different concept before about the EBO, EO, sorry,
OBE.
OB.
Mm.
Okay, thank you, Pulis. Thank you, Bu Siwi. The next question is for Pak Seno. This is from alumni 2. How does OBE help learners sharpen their metacognitive skills? For example, in writing.
How
How does
outcomes
how does OB help learners sharpen their metacognitive skills? For example, in writing.
Yeah, that's a difficult question, I think, to answer. Maybe police will answer the question relating to the OPE.
Yeah. Okay. May I, Bu Faisal?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the questions, and thank you, Pak Seno. This is a cross-cutting topic. Cross-cutting topic. Yeah. So once again, the question, Bu Faisal, sorry.
Okay. How does OBE help learners sharpen their metacognitive skills? For example, in writing.
Okay. All right. Yes. Again, the ideas of OBE is that our orientation as a designer of learning is the outcome, right? The outcome.
Yes.
So the achievement, the student's achievement. Okay, now let's put it this way. You want to take example as a student's ability in writing, for example, writing explanation text, for example, yeah, writing explanation text. Then how does it also at the same time promoting students' metacognitive skills? To my experience, when I try to facilitate my students to what is that? To developing their metacognitive skills is by providing them with some, for example, with some a matrix, yeah, a matrix. When we talk about writing, yeah, a matrix. Let's say explanations. Then you have some matrix concerning with some guided writing. Yeah, this is it,
Yeah.
in terms of guided writings. So you have the elements of the genre, and then you have the content. For example, yeah, you ask your students to write the content there, and then another rows or column, yeah, another column to for the students to write the reason. Why you write this one, for example? For what reason? Is it because this is the yeah, or something? That's one of the probably example how to cross-cut this idea, implementing or developing metacognitive at the same time. In the context of OBE approach, yeah, in the context of outcome-based approach, yeah. For example, and in the columns that the students have to write, of course you can refer to the concept parts, has already mentioned in the level of what skill of metacognitive, yeah, what skill of metacognitive. This can help the students to be aware of what they think, yeah, of what they think. So I think this is not suitable for this one because so they're thinking about thinking. This is we facilitate them to think about what they choose, to be aware of what they do, to be aware of what they write. That's one what my understanding about the metacognitive skills. That is why one of the way probably is by providing also the students to exercise in developing their metacognitive skills by doing so. Just like what Pak Seno has already mentioned about the examples of promoting metacognitive skills, also by writing journals. This is also writing skills, right? So this is also an example how developing writing skills at the same time, promoting the students' metacognitive skills. But then again, we have to make them aware of what they do. So you do this, yeah, and it is for what purpose? This is the key concept of developing, of raising awareness of the students. Yeah, that's I guess the idea of the object outcome or outcome is the students are able to write explanation text. That's the objective, right? So what should be provided for the students to develop their ability to write say explanation text, as well as developing their metacognitive skills. That's one of the example, I guess, that we can give to our students.
The main point is
Okay.
that students need to know their awareness to know what to do, what to write, okay, and to know why they write.
That's right.
Okay, ma'am. Pak Seno, you want
Yeah.
some give some
Yeah.
response?
Just to add what Liz explanation relating to, I think that the metacognitive competence will strengthen the students' outcomes, I think. Yeah. The metacognitive competence, will strengthen the achievement, as the outcome that
Of the process.
the outcomes of the learnings, and especially for the writings, I think that as the principles of the metacognitive competence is we can identify what is the difficulties that the student have. For example, like in one aspect, arrange a paragraph. What kind of paragraphs should be ideally written? For example, that it should be, and the students should know more about what is a paragraph itself. I think that, to identify the problems. What is the problems that, for example, like the problem is how to find the supporting ideas in the paragraph. So I think that in metacognitive competence, the duties of the learners is to find out, how to find that, knowledge about how to give supporting ideas in a paragraph or something like this. Principally that the metacognitive competence is how to make the students know well about his or her own problem relating to what they are learning. I think that's all. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Seno and Police, for the response of the question delivered by the alumni. Is there any more participants who want to ask some questions to both of the speakers? I count on 5. Bu Nunung?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's enough, I
Bu.
think.
Yeah, it seems that we don't have any more participants who want to ask question.
Okay.
Okay. So shall I close this seminar right now?
Yep. Conclude it and then close it.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Nunung. Ladies and gentlemen, the seminar finally comes to an end. We do hope that you participants enjoy the seminar. I'm Faizawa on behalf of the organizing committee, extending our appreciation to each and every one of you for attending the seminar. We wish you productive and fruitful days ahead. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you, speakers, for giving us time and sharing your valuable knowledge. Thank you,
Awesome.
participants, for
pleasure.
joining this
Thank
seminar.
you.
Sorry. Yeah, you are welcome, Pak Seno. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. We'll see you again in the next seminar series. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Awesome
Okay.
work, Police Pak Seno. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Police Pak
Thank
Seno,
you.
participants. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice
Okay.
weekend.
Dr. Seno.